December 22nd, Cedar Creek, Texas, 2:14 in the afternoon. An 18-year-old girl sends one last voice note to her best friend. Her voice is happy, excited. She says, "Girl, I cannot wait. Tomorrow is the day. Tomorrow I finally get to hold him." She never sent another message. She never made it to tomorrow. And for 4 days, her family had no idea where she was. Her mother went on local news begging for information. Her grandmother drove every parking lot in the city. Her little sister checked her phone every 5 minutes, waiting for a message that never came. And on Christmas morning, they found her, inside a locked silver sedan, 9 months pregnant, 1 day away from her hospital induction date, 1 day away from holding her son for the very first time. But here is what nobody knew yet. The person who invited Sofia and her boyfriend into that car that afternoon already knew what he was going to do. And after he did it, he called someone who should have told him to turn himself in, someone who chose to protect him instead, someone who helped hide 3 bodies on Christmas Eve while Sofia's family was still searching and praying and refusing to believe the worst. This is the story of Sofia Reyes and the one day she never got to have. Before we go further, subscribe if you believe Sofia and her baby deserve to live. Because what happened on December 22nd in Cedar Creek, Texas, was not random. It was invited. It was planned. And a family is still fighting for justice today. 18 years old, Cedar Creek, Texas, a small, tight-knit community south of San Antonio, where everybody knows everybody and family means everything. Sofia Reyes grew up in a yellow house on Marigold Street with her mother Gloria, her grandmother Carmen, and her little sister Lucia, who was 12 years old and idolized her big sister completely. Lucia used to sit on Sofia's bed while she did her homework. I used to steal her hoodies, used to fall asleep watching movies with her on Friday nights. Later, Lucia would say that Sofia always smelled like vanilla and that she would never be able to smell vanilla again without crying. Sofia was not flashy. She was not complicated. She was the kind of girl who remembered everyone's birthday, who showed up when people needed her, who worked part-time at the family bakery on weekends, not because she had to, but because she wanted to help her grandmother Carmen, who had run that bakery for 30 years. Customers who came in on Saturday mornings remembered Sofia behind the counter, warm, laughing, always with something kind to say. When Sofia found out she was pregnant, she was scared. She was 17. She was not ready in the way people plan to be ready. But she became ready. She chose the name Miguel almost immediately. She said it was her grandfather's name and that there was no other option. She painted the nursery herself, pale yellow with white trim, while her mother Gloria stood in the doorway pretending not to cry because she was so proud of the woman her daughter was becoming. Carmen, Sofia's grandmother, described what those last few months looked like. Sofia used to talk to that baby while she worked in the bakery, just quietly, telling him about the family he was going to meet, telling him about the yellow house and Lucia's laugh and the way the bakery smelled in the mornings. Carmen said she would give anything to have recorded those conversations. Sofia had a hospital appointment on December 23rd, an induction date, a date circled on the calendar in red marker with a small star drawn next to it. One more sleep. That is what she told Lucia the night before she disappeared. One more sleep, and then I get to hold him. Sofia's boyfriend was Marcus Delgado. He 21 years old, Cedar Creek, born and raised. He worked at his uncle's mechanic shop. He was not perfect. He and Sofia had broken up twice in the past year, arguments that got loud, moments they both regretted. But when baby Miguel became real, Marcus stepped up in a way that surprised people who had doubted him. He came to every appointment. He painted that nursery alongside Sofia. He had a name picked for the middle name, after his own father. Marcus had a group of friends he had grown up with. One of them was Javier Cortez, 20 years old, lived with his parents in a house 3 streets from the Delgado family. Marcus and Javier had been close since middle school, the kind of friendship built on years of proximity. Same neighborhood, same school, same everything. Sofia knew Javier. She had been around him dozens of times. She had no reason to be afraid of him. On December 22nd, Javier contacted Marcus. Said he had something for him. A deal. Come meet me. Bring Sofia. It will be quick. Just come. Marcus said yes, and they got into the silver sedan and drove toward Javier's neighborhood at 2:14 in the afternoon. Sofia sent that voice note to her best friend Elena at 2:09, 5 minutes before they got in the car. Her last words recorded. "Girl, I cannot wait. Tomorrow is the day. Tomorrow I finally get to hold him. If you are still watching, comment, she deserved better." What happened in the hours between 2:14 p.m. on December 22nd and the moment that silver sedan was found locked in a residential parking lot 4 days later? Investigators believe they know. Javier Cortez allegedly produced a gun. An argument over money, a deal that went wrong in a matter of seconds. Marcus was shot first. Sofia witnessed it. And then Javier turned the gun on Sofia, a 9-month pregnant 18-year-old girl who had been counting down the hours to the most important moment of her life. Shot. In the back seat of a car she had gotten into willingly because she trusted the person driving. Baby Miguel never took a breath. After the shooting, Javier panicked. He did not call police. He did not call an ambulance. He called his father, Roberto Cortez, 52 years old, and Roberto Cortez did not tell his son to turn himself in. He got in his truck and he drove to where Javier was, and together they moved the bodies, repositioned the car, locked it, and left. Sofia's hospital bag was still in the trunk. On December 23rd, Gloria Cordova woke up early to drive her daughter to the hospital. She knocked on Sofia's bedroom door. No answer. She checked the house. She checked the yard. She called Marcus. No answer. She called Javier. No answer. By 10 a.m., she was calling police. By noon, she was on local news. By evening, Cedar Creek had Sofia's face on every telephone pole and every social media account in the community. A missing alert was issued. 18-year-old Sofia Reyes, 9 months pregnant. Last seen in a silver sedan. Please call if you have any information. The family spent Christmas Eve searching, spent Christmas Day searching. And on the morning of December 26th, 4 days after Sofia sent that last voice note, a neighbor noticed the silver sedan had been parked in the same spot for days and called police. Officers arrived and found Sofia and Marcus and baby Miguel. Gloria Cordova identified her daughter's body on December 26th. Carmen, Sofia's grandmother, said she could not stand up after receiving the call. Said her legs stopped working. Said she sat on the kitchen floor for a long time before she could move again. Elena, Sofia's best friend, heard about the discovery through a mutual friend before anyone had officially told her. She drove to the parking lot. Was stopped by police tape, said she stood there for a long time not wanting to go home because going home meant it was real. Lucia, Sofia's 12-year-old sister, was told by her mother in the living room of the yellow house on Marigold Street. She did not speak for 3 days afterward. She just wore Sofia's hoodie and sat in the nursery that smelled like fresh paint and baby powder and dreams that would never happen. Police investigators arrived at the scene and identified immediately that this was not a random crime. The position of the bodies, the locked car, the absence of any forced entry or robbery. The way the scene had been arranged pointed directly toward someone who knew these victims, someone who had been with them, someone who then tried to make it disappear. Within 48 hours, investigators had pulled security camera footage from the surrounding area, and on that footage, a truck, parked nearby on the evening of December 22nd, registered to Roberto Cortez, and a second figure, Javier, on camera in the area on the night. January 4th, 13 days after Sofia sent her last voice note, Javier Cortez was arrested, charged with capital murder, 3 counts, Sofia Reyes, Marcus Delgado, and baby Miguel, capital murder of a child under 10, the most serious charges the state of Texas can bring. If convicted, life in prison without the possibility of parole. His father, Roberto Cortez, was arrested the same day, charged with abuse of a corpse, tampering with evidence, helping move 3 bodies while a family spent Christmas not celebrating but searching. His mother, Elena Cortez, who investigators believe was present when Roberto left the house that night and knew what had happened, was arrested 1 week later, charged with tampering with evidence. 3 members of one family, a mother, a father, a son, all charged in connection with the murders of an 18-year-old girl, her boyfriend, and their unborn baby, and all sitting in county jail while 2 families buried their children and tried to understand how someone who had sat at the same lunch tables, walked the same streets, been called a friend, could do something like this. Carmen stood at Sofia's grave after the burial and said 7 words that her family would repeat for months afterward. She just wanted to hold her baby. If you are still watching, comment "Justice for Sofia and Miguel." See, and here is where this story becomes about something more than one crime. Here is where it becomes about what families go through when the justice system moves slowly. 14 months after the murders, Elena Cortez appeared in court for the start of her trial. The family showed up. They sat in those wooden courthouse seats and they waited. And then the judge dismissed the charges on a procedural technicality. The family found out while still sitting in the courtroom. Gloria Cordova walked outside and stood on the courthouse steps and said, "I don't understand. I will never understand. My daughter is in the ground and this woman is going home." Then Javier's trial, scheduled to begin the following spring, was delayed. His defense team filed motions arguing that certain evidence had not been properly processed. The judge granted a continuance. Another date on the calendar. Another month of waiting. See, another morning that Carmen Reyes woke up and went to the bakery and stood behind the counter where Sofia used to stand and served customers who didn't know that her whole world had been destroyed. Lucia turned 13 while they were waiting for the trial. Then 14. She started high school. She made friends who never knew Sofia. She had to explain over and over what happened to her sister. She kept the nursery exactly as it was, pale yellow walls, white trim, a name on the wall that nobody ever got to use out loud in the way it was meant to be used. Javier Cortez faces capital murder charges for 3 counts. Sofia, Marcus, Miguel. His trial date has been set and postponed twice. Roberto Cortez awaits his own trial after his son's concludes. Elena Cortez walks free after her charges were dismissed on procedural grounds. Gloria Cordova has not stopped fighting. She shows up to every court date, every hearing, every postponement. She sits in those wooden seats and she waits because she believes that eventually a jury will look at everything investigators found and do what is right. Carmen still runs the bakery on Marigold Street. She kept a photograph of Sofia behind the counter. Customers sometimes ask about it. Carmen tells them her granddaughter worked here, that she was going to be a wonderful mother, that her name was Sofia and her baby's name was Miguel, and they deserved to grow old together. Lucia is 15 now. She still sleeps in Sofia's hoodie sometimes. She says she can still smell vanilla if she tries hard enough. She wrote a letter to the judge last year asking for the trial to stop being delayed. She said, My sister packed a hospital bag. She deserved to use it. Please let us have justice before I forget what her voice sounded like. Here is what stays with me about Sofia Reyes. She packed a hospital bag. She painted a nursery pale yellow. She chose a name from her grandfather. She circled a date on the calendar in red marker and drew a star next to it. She sent a voice note to her best friend 5 minutes before she got into that car. Girl, I cannot wait. Tomorrow is the day. Tomorrow I finally get to hold him. She had no idea it was the last voice note she would ever send. She had no idea that Lucia would wear her hoodie every night for years trying to hold on to the smell of vanilla. She had no idea that Carmen would keep her photograph behind the counter of the bakery so strangers could know her name. She had no idea that Gloria would sit in a courthouse over and over, waiting for justice that kept getting delayed. She was 18 years old. She was one day away from the most important moment of her life. And somebody invited her somewhere that afternoon and made sure she never got there. The trial is coming. And 2 families will walk into that courtroom carrying 3 names: Sofia, Marcus, Miguel. And they will sit in those wooden seats one more time and wait for 12 strangers to look at everything and decide what justice looks like for a girl who just wanted to hold her baby. If you believe Sofia and Miguel deserve to live, share this video. If you think families deserve justice without endless delays, comment justice for Sofia and Miguel below. Subscribe because this story is not over. And Sofia Reyes deserves to have the whole world still saying her name. Her name was Sofia Reyes. She was one day away from everything.